I think I'm going to do it in English. So I'm from that country with the dental. So sorry about that. And just to make sure that we don't get any language confusions, I will do my presentation in English, but feel free to ask questions in whatever language you feel comfortable in. My name is Thomas. I'm from Zendesk, and for those of you who don't know Zendesk, I will do a short. It won't be about Zendesk today, but I will do just a brief introduction to who we are and what we do. I'm responsible for sales in the northern countries. I would say Scandinavian, but it also includes Finland and the Benelux countries. So focusing a lot on e-commerce, retail, since companies with online retail are heavily in use of customer service. So I'll get back to in a bit what kind of customers we work with. Is it okay if I still spend half an hour, although we're a bit late? I think so. Good. So today's topic is how to define good customer service, or at least how to get closer to offering a sense of good customer service. I don't know if you're familiar with, it's a Danish organization, but they're called Scandinavian Retail Institute. They do all kinds of surveys and support retailers in their business. They did a survey 18 months ago where I think 80% of all online retailers stated that they did good customer service. And 70% of all consumers stated that they never experienced good customer service. So we do need to figure out how to bring retailers and consumers closer to each other, because obviously there's some sort of lack of understanding. So just a brief introduction to who Zendesk is. We are actually a Danish founded company. We got founded in 2007. Today I think we consider ourselves primarily an American company. We were listed on the New York Stock Exchange in 2014 in May. We have our main office in San Francisco. We do have an office in Copenhagen, but we're not that many. We have just close to 47,000 customers, whereof 1,500 or so are in Sweden. So actually Sweden is a pretty big country for Zendesk, so we spend a lot of time here, as much as we can, just two people, but like talking to retailers about what's going on, what your frustrations are, etc. So feel free to come and at me after we're done here, and I'll answer a lot of questions on who we are and how we use them. Our customers, it's a big mix of different kinds of companies. So obviously the big customer segment for Zendesk is companies with transactional websites. So companies like yours and the ones you meet in your consumer lives. Big retailers, so in Sweden, companies like Lindex, lots of others. We also have a lot of customers within travel, within telcos, so 3, etc. And many of our customers are those that I think you would in general consider as having a different business model than those who were in the market already. So companies in here like Uber, the taxi app that is, I think, going on in Sweden as well. Actually, they just signed a deal with Zendesk for all of their 2,600 call center employees. So they are already a big company. Groupon is the same, company that is challenging the way other retailers work, actually by giving a great customer service and customer experience. So Groupon as well, super focused on customer service. You might not know, but they have about 200 people in their customer service organization just in Sweden. So even though you think it's just a website where you can do coupon trading and e-commerce, they actually focus heavily on customer service as a differentiator. So those are the typical kinds of customers we work with, and we do it all by actually trying to meet that exact statement I started out with. we want to bring consumers and companies closer to each other, because there is constantly a misunderstanding of what good customer service is, when you need customer service, and we're trying to close that gap. So what I'm going to talk about today is not exactly Zendesk. I thought that, you know, if the topic is defining good customer service, I'd much rather talk about how to make your current customer service experience a lot better for your customers. So I'm going to give 3 tips on how to give good customer service. And I'm doing it based on a survey we do with our customers on a regular basis. So every quarter we publish a report that we call the Zendesk benchmark. It's available on our website. Go download it, and if you're already using Zendesk, always. Yes. It's available within your Zendesk. You can see how you benchmark against other companies like yours on customer service metrics. And based on that, we have a couple of tips on how to actually, in your daily life, improve customer service. So, that's the wrong way. So, tip number 1. When you're designing your customer service organization, not just thinking about software and tools, but thinking about customer service in general, or your business as a total unit, think outside in and not inside out. I think, without insulting anyone, when you're doing IT projects or implementing tools, implementing software, you think about, and it's a natural thing, how your processes are within your company, and you're implementing software based on that. But when you're talking customer service, that just doesn't work. So if instead you should look at how your customers are working. Just heard about how consumers are now interacting up to, I think in Denmark it's even more. I saw 40% of purchases, or of Swedish people purchase from their mobile device. I think if you're not just looking at purchases, but looking at traffic in general, a lot of traffic now is generated through social media, through different channels, through rating sites like Trustpilot and TripAdvisor. All that traffic, you need to embrace that in your customer service organization. So I think good examples are big traditional retailers, where if you go to their website, like, and I'm just considering their Facebook site, one of their websites. So if I go to their Facebook site, ask a question, it's not actually answered by their customer service team. It's typically answered by their marketing team. Because Facebook was, if you look 2-3 years ago, thought as a sales channel, as a promotional channel, where you just needed to publish a lot of content to make your customers more likely to buy, etc. So, but what's happening now is that consumers actually go that way to ask questions, to complain, to find out why their orders are late. They just try, ask public questions on Facebook. And if you're not able to direct that into a customer service organization, consumers get frustrated. So when we measure on what expectations are from consumers, it's not exactly that they need immediate answers. They do expect quicker answers on Facebook than they do on email, but they don't expect immediate answers. They just expect similar answering times, no matter what channel they contact companies on. And that's the difficult thing. So when you're choosing a solution or designing your processes within customer service, think outside in, think about how your customer service organization can embrace all those different channels. I guess there's already more than we've put on this slide. It's chat, it's websites, it's... If you have mobile apps, does anyone have mobile apps? One. So it's doing in-app customer service. So if you're at your mobile bank and you have a problem, how do you solve that? You probably go outside the app, write an email to your bank, call the bank. Why can you not get customer service inside that app? And that's I think you need to consider how to embrace customer service no matter where the customer is. So do you offer, for example, different customer service on the checkout page than you do on just the browsing pages of your websites? So lots of things to consider, but always keep in mind that when you're talking customer service, look from your consumer's perspective, not from your own perspective. You'll figure out how to do it. You need to help the consumer get a better experience. So just feel free to interrupt and ask questions. Next tip. Do this slowly. Everyone does customer service. That's a nice slide. Here we go. Everyone does customer service. If you do not, start doing it. But it's a travel. You need to start from a low point where you can sort of do traditional reactive customer service. Embrace the channels I talked about before. Make sure that you can actually answer your customers in a consistent way, that you maybe have standard answers that you can provide, because those of you who do customer service might know that I think 70–80% of all questions are the same or very similar, so why not automate and optimize those processes? So start with that, simple stuff, well, maybe not always, but that's step number one in doing good customer service. Step number two is engaging customers to do their own customer service. This is sort of a love-hate thing. I hate self-service websites. I definitely do. Worst examples are telcos. TDC in Denmark, it's probably the same with Telia. If you go to their website, try and figure out why your broadband doesn't work or your mobile can't connect or whatever. It's just hopeless to find an answer. And if you want to get in contact with them, it's even more hopeless. I had a dialogue with, I'm not going to mention the name, but an airline company that were about to design a new customer service solution, and their primary focus was to prevent consumers from getting in contact with them. We're no longer in dialogue, but that's a way I think some of the big transactional companies have thought traditionally. How can we prevent, because it's expensive to have customer service, how can we prevent people from actually contacting us by implementing customer self-service? And that is not the way to think about customer self-service. Think about it as a search point. So it's just another channel. So if you can do customer service on social media sites, on your own websites, on the phone, etc., a customer self-service is just another channel. So if you go to, I think one of the really good ones are international players like Beats Music. So those of you who do sort of the Spotify competitor, but if you go to their website, go to support, they have an outstanding self-service portal. So it's all built around search, and if you cannot find what you're looking for, you're immediately directed to how to engage with their customer service team through dedicated contact forms, etc. So it's a way of making sure that people are enabled to find answers, but if they cannot, direct them to the customer service team immediately. Another thing on this is how to actually improve those websites. So traditionally, how many of you have an FAQ or knowledge base on your website? Yeah, hate them too. They never work, but seriously, I think all those FAQs were generated by IT implementing a new website, going to someone in customer service asking, what are the 10 most asked questions? And they couldn't really come up with what they were, so they just thought of 10 questions they could definitely answer by just putting it on the website. And those are not the questions that people are asking. So if you're building customer self-service, or you want to think about customer self-service, make sure that the customer service team is actually in charge of this. Make sure that they can see what's going on, what people are searching for, what articles are read, which are not, so they can constantly improve this website and make it better and more relevant for your consumers. That's the only way of doing this right, because otherwise you will very quickly have an irrelevant self-service and then it will just be a barrier, an annoying thing that no one likes. So this is a difficult part, but it's important. Because in Sweden, in Nordics in general, customer service is terribly expensive because of our wages. So get it in place, it's an important part. And it's a step towards actually what I think is the third part of a customer engagement travel, and that is changing your customer service team into a proactive part of your sales organization. So customer service is often thought as just a cost center. It's expensive, it's boring, it's the guys from sales that were not good at it are placed in customer service. So it's often not a thing that is getting a lot of attention. What we are trying to help customers with is moving customer service from a cost center to a revenue generating part of the company. So, for example, if someone contacts you, do you actually know if they're satisfied with the answer you gave them? So make sure that you ask them every time someone asks you a question, you ask them a question. Because they're willing to give up ideas and information on how they think about your customers because they just got help from you. And if they don't feel they got help, they're definitely interested in telling you that. So make sure that you provide that ability to collect information from your customers, because otherwise they'll just put it on Twitter or Facebook or somewhere else where you don't want it. So make sure that you enable your customers to get in contact with you and use that information. Don't just collect it, use it for something interesting. TV2 in Denmark, they provide an online streaming service. Their biggest parts of the year are Tour de France in July, and when, it's probably in Sweden as well, a program called Bygga starts every fall. I think it just started. When those two shows get on, they get like 20% boost in subscriptions in their online streaming services. Additionally, especially with Tour de France, they get a lot of complaints because people can't understand why they can't stream it from their campsite in France, or why the internet connection on highways are bad, etc. So they get a lot of customer service complaints. They do obviously answer back, try to help out, but the year after, they reach out to all those complaining customers and ask them nicely if they would like to get access to Tour de France again. And when they started doing that, turning unhappy customers into prospective new customers, they boosted their sales by 4%. So just by sending out an email to all their unhappy ex-customers, many of them came back, bought the service once again. So don't expect a customer who was once unhappy to constantly be unhappy. They'll be happy again and they'll buy again. So use unhappy customer service data to generate new business. When turning around inbound customer service to outbound customer service, it's important, and that's the thing we can do with Zendesk, to educate your people. Make sure that the people you have in customer service actually feel responsible for giving the full customer experience, so that they're not just a little part of your company, but that they understand what the actual buying process is, that they have a mandate to say, yes, you'll get your money back, yes, we'll do a refund, yes, we'll send you something else, so that your customer service employees are not just someone who has to answer questions and follow up on complaints, but they actually have a mandate to make customers happy. We provide a lot of tips and tricks on our website on how to actually employ customer service people, which questions to ask when you have interviews, etc. So go check it out. There's lots of good knowledge in there. So running out of time. And then on another note, when you're doing software implementations, there's a lot of questions that you constantly get asked. Forget about them. These boxes are for IT, it's not for customer service. obviously you need to make sure that you choose a solution or a tool, or that your existing tool already has great security, great integrations, all that stuff, but it's not important. The important thing is to travel from optimizing your current reactive customer support to actually doing proactive customer engagement. The rest of it we can cover in half an hour online shows on how to do integrations, and you can get nice partners and integration guys to do that stuff. It's not important when you're thinking how to do good customer service. Last tip is create an agile organization. Customer service, just as much as your e-commerce websites or anything else, changes rapidly. It's not a great idea to implement big solutions, to do great and massive pre-studies on how to build this. This might seem a bit American. We've sort of come up with an idea. It's called Learn, Launch, Love. Not lunch, but launch. And the idea is actually to, well, just go ahead. We just talked about the travel that you had to go through. It's exactly the same with implementing software to support this. Go ahead. Start up with something. There's lots on the internet already. Zendesk is just one alternative. Lots of great other, or rather great alternatives. And all of them, many of them, support that you can just get started. So integrate one or two of your channels, get your phone working, get your emails working, get it into a service management tool. And then when you've set a goal for what you want to achieve with that first role of implementing and improving your customer service, then do it. It's not going to be great from day one, but if you've set the goals that you want to maybe lower your first reply time from 1 day to 4 hours, or that you want to at least just start measuring customer service, customer satisfaction. That's a goal as well. So set those goals and just consider the first part of the project as a proof of concept. It won't be great, but I tell you, it won't be worse than it is today. Plan it out, make sure you have someone responsible for this, and make sure that it's tied very closely together with your e-commerce, so that it's not just sort of a separated part of your business doing customer service. Customer service is going to be the only engaging team with your customers. So this is where you get the chance of making customers aware that you're not just a website, that you're actually people behind that. That they can just call you, that maybe if they're stuck on the checkout page for more than 20 seconds, a chat window opens and someone real asks them a question in Swedish. So it's very simple to give that great little twist on customer service that everyone likes. So get started, and when you start loving what you have, do it all over again. Get social media in there. Improve what you already have. Start using automations to make sure that all questions from social media gets higher attention than those are coming from email, because people from social media expect quicker answers, etc. Maybe you can start, I'm not actually sure if Twitter is big in Sweden, it's not in Denmark, it's not in Norway. I never figure out how big it is, but the issue with Twitter is that it's absolutely out of control. So people who do stuff on Twitter makes a lot of noise. So we actually have measures in place so that we can look at how many followers people have on Twitter. So you can set up automations and look at if they have more than 5,000 followers, it's put into a separate queue so you can answer it immediately to make sure that you control that Twitter storm that will happen otherwise. Because even though it's a relatively small medium, everyone who thinks they're important within media, etc., are on Twitter, so it spreads rapidly and out of control. Whereas Facebook is another story, because they put on actually measures to make sure that things do not get out of control. Twitter hasn't, it's much more open. So that's the next step. Start automating and improving what you've already put in place. And then you can do all the stuff we talked about before with self-service, etc. So make sure that you take little steps and constantly benchmark towards if you have someone you're working with or against, or just look at our larger reports on how are you actually doing on customer service. We publish 3 metrics. We publish on first reply time, number of tickets, and average customer success rating. So you can actually go onto our website, see an online retailer in the Nordics, this many customers, how many tickets do they get? So am I getting more tickets than my peers and competitors? That's an interesting starting point. Another interesting thing is that Norwegian companies are much better at doing customer service than Danish and Swedish companies. I'd like to change that, but I'm not really sure why. Maybe they're just happier. I don't know. But there's lots of interesting information that you can use on how to get started on measuring, etc. I'm talking way too fast. No, 2 minutes. So, to sum up, I think 3 things are very important if you need to go from just customer service to good customer service. Make sure, and I think it was the same from Dips, that everything from the consumer perspective is smooth and nice and beautifully simple. If you can do that, you'll get a lot less questions and complaints. And when you get those, it's a matter of answering quickly, nicely, politely. Very basic actually, but difficult to actually do. So that's step number 1. Step number 2 is making sure that you don't kill engagement started by your consumers. So if they start a discussion on Facebook, don't kill it. Just interact, be natural, be honest about that. Well, we made a mistake, we're correcting it. This very harsh complaint will take offline with the customer, but we are aware. Never kill stuff that happens where other customers can see it, because it will spread no matter what you do. So lots of good and bad examples on that part, but make sure that you actually use your customers to help you get better instead of just killing it all by not looking at all the bad things. And lastly, try turning loyal customers and unhappy customers into more business. I know it gets more and more tricky when we start moving left on this slide, but if you can generate business from customers getting in contact with your customer service, maybe educating your people to say, well, you can also buy this, you can get this on, I can help you. I just saw that you went by that piece of product on your way to the checkout box, but it seemed like you didn't find what you needed. Did you need another size, etc. Make sure that your customer service department is an integrated part of your sales channel. That it's not just reactive, but they're actually proactive, because customers like that. They like being sold to, if it's done in a nice way. They like being helped getting what they actually needed, and that's also part of customer service. So, to round up, I'm going to give an example of when good customer service maybe gets just a bit too good. So I'm just going to round up with a video.
Nya timmar sen.
Might be taking it too far, but that's all for me. I'm here for another 15 years or so, so feel free to ask questions now or around here. Thank you.
Ja, det var spännande. Tack till Patrik och Thomas för att ni kunde komma idag. Och tack till er alla som var här och lyssnade. Och som sagt, Thomas är kvar en stund, Patrik också, så det är bara att ställa alla frågor ni har. Och håll utkik, vi kommer att hålla lite fler frukostevent framöver. Tack!